But I'm Dr. Trevor Miller. This is my wife, Nurse Jessica, and I'm going to let her tell you who she is. If you have any questions, feel free to pop them in on the Facebook Live. But here we go. Tell them about yourself.
I'm Trevor's wife. I am a registered nurse. Been a nurse for 11 years at a local hospital. And that's me.
And then she met the weirdo chiropractor, functional medicine doctor, acupuncturist, blah, blah, blah. I would say the old joke used to be turning her from the dark side, but at this point in time, I mean, everybody in healthcare is scrambling, especially due to like COVID. I'm Dr. Trevor Miller, and I've been a chiropractor for, oh Lord, Aiden's 25 years. And so I got into this because when I'm dealing with my patients, especially musculoskeletal patients, dealing with patients, I always want to get the best health outcome I can. And there's an 80-20 rule. You start to adjust somebody, and 80% of the time, the adjustments just take care of it. And then what ended up happening is it slowly got to where we weren't getting the results, or people kept coming back. And so then I started digging into more. And now we've kind of got it down to where blood sugar is kind of the first thing that we start to talk about and tackle with people. Inflammation, and that's all related. People who, well, from the nursing aspect, why is blood sugar important?
Well, blood sugar is important for lots of reasons, depending on what you're doing, but it causes inflammation, it causes healing issues. If you're sick, it drives your blood sugars up anyway, even in normal healthy people. But if you have inflammation, or you have infections, or you have wounds, it creates all kinds of problems with healing.
And the reason why it causes those problems was that when insulin levels go up, all kinds of havoc happen in the body. Just a little backstory, my family is very prone to Alzheimer's, dementia, and stuff like that. They are now calling those things, and as many people know, they're now calling that diabetes type 3. So diabetes, the problem's not really with the blood sugar. The blood sugar is a symptom. The problem with type 2, there are two types of diabetes, but the problem is insulin is too high. Typically, type 2 diabetes is a blood sugar gets high because insulin, the body gets resistant to this peptide hormone in us, and you have to keep making more and more and more to try to shove blood sugar into the cell. Think of it like a train. The train comes into the station, your conductor is insulin, he tells blood sugar to get on the train, but we live in such a society now that the train's always full. And so no more insulin can come, or no more blood sugar can be pushed into the train or cell. And so what happens is hey, move on out, bring in the next train, and it just keeps on doing that. And we try to pump more and more and more and more insulin into the body. And what happens as a side effect? What is insulin? What does insulin do?
What does insulin do?
Yeah. What do I always call it around the house? The fat packing hormone.
Oh, yeah.
Because that tells the body that when insulin goes up, it starts to partition, and it wants to make you hold fat. And type 2 diabetics, what happens to them? They start to get large. And when I had high insulin levels, I was 270 pounds. And so now we, kind of covered who we are. We've covered why we care.
Oh, but we didn't cover why we're doing this.
Why are we doing this?
We're going to have fun on Thursdays. We're gonna have fun on Thursdays and try to educate people and find out what they wanna know so we can help.
Definitely find out if you guys have questions. That's how I learn. People ask questions. If I don't know the answer, we start to, well, I'll come to you. Hey, what do you know about this?
Yeah, but we have a lot of friends and family with diabetes or pre-diabetes or people that don't wanna believe they have diabetes and they have all kinds of problems, but they're not starting from the bottom baseline as to why they have these problems. They just think they're tired or they're sick or whatever, but diet plays a big role in controlling that.
Well, just for instance, if you have high blood sugars, you want to see somebody like me first, because if you end up where she's taking care of you, how bad is that?
We're gonna cut your bits off bit by bit until you have no legs. And you don't have any life.
And so, really
Actually, it's really frustrating. I'm just gonna say, as a nurse, that's really frustrating because you control your destiny, kind of, in a way. And if your soda is so much more important in your candy bars, in your Doritos, than your lifestyle and your family, it's kind of really sad because most people are sick because they're non-compliant. And then I see a lot of people that, well, actually I've had a lot of friends that have went to the doctor and they have high blood sugars, and I'm like, oh, what did they do for that? Did they send you to a nutritionist or give you a good diet? And they're like, no, they didn't really say anything, they just told me to go on a diet. So I don't know if they're just not getting education, or they're just not hearing the education, or they just really don't care about the education. But it's a big problem. I see that all the time in the hospital and with my medical friends, and then we see that all the time with our patients at the clinic. But we kind of just want to share and educate, just so people, know, because when you know, you do better. And I just find that I don't think sometimes they just don't know. They don't know what's healthy. They don't know what to do for themselves. They read packaging, which if you're looking at a package, you've already messed up. So, eat whole foods, eat good foods, and I guess kind of start from the baseline of that. But when you have blood sugars greater than 150, you've probably got a problem. And a lot of people will say, like, I don't have diabetes. Well, you're getting real close.
You haven't been labeled a diabetic. So blood sugar, medically, what we will do is we will take you, measure your blood sugar, and then we try to control it with insulin. The problem with that is that insulin is a very pro-inflammatory hormone, and you want your fasting insulin to be between 3 and 4 milligrams per, or forget the actual nomenclature for the endo. Do you remember the nomenclature?
What?
Insulin. It's like picograms or milligrams or
I don't know.
Whatever that is. And so insulin, my brain's doing a whole bunch of different things. One of the worst things you can do for your cardiovascular system is to eat fat and sugar at the same time. At that point in time, you're basically taking napalm and just torching your arteries. And that is the worst combination that you can do, is fat and sugar at the same time, which is a problem for humans because we really like fat and we really like sugar. And I haven't seen anything that other than controlling your lifestyle and separating those things. Fiber tends to help slow some of the release of the sugar into the bloodstream, but I don't think, eating Snickers or any of that stuff, which has a lot of fat and a lot of sugar, you're just doing damage. And diabetes type 2 is absolutely a lifestyle disease. There's too many studies, too many things that show that it is.
But we shouldn't be afraid of fat. We just need the right fat. Good fat.
Yeah, good fats. And your good fats are a highly satiating thing, and it controls for It controls insulin. Fat does not make an insulin response. Even protein, if you have large amounts of protein, it will start to stimulate insulin. And so, like in my coffee, not today, last night I ate a bunch of stuff late and I just felt like I needed to fast today, so I just have black coffee. But usually in my coffee, because I've had blood sugar issues, I started out doing Dave Asprey's Bulletproof coffee, and since then have added a lot to it. I put some stuff called Golden Fusion in there, and I also use some stuff called cacao, and those all have turmeric in them, they all have cinnamon in them, and these are just ways to A, make the coffee a little more savory, and B, control insulin, control blood sugar. I also put a little bit of butter in there. I don't put any cream or anything like that with it, but that's typically my morning meal to keep calories down, and that's really not that important, but calories, control for that a little bit, and also to take the, just stay in a state of fasting. My ketones stay high when I do that stuff, and it leaves me metabolically flexible. So control for insulin, and remember, just yesterday I don't know how many patients, just 5 or 6 newer patients, and I would ask them what their blood studies were, and they all said the same thing. Oh, well, my insulin's fine. I was like, you know what your insulin is? And they're like, oh yeah, it was 100. And I'm going, no, that's blood sugar. There is a difference between blood sugar and insulin. You want to know what your fasting insulin is. And if your fasting insulin is above 5, you are starting down a bad path. You're not at the destination, but you started down a bad path. Anything to add on that?
Well, I mean, most people don't get their insulin checked. And I don't think I think unless you ask, they don't check that. They're really worried about your glucose.
And so, what affects glucose? Let's go there.
Well, lots of things, or like what drives your blood sugars up.
Yeah.
Lots of things. Stress is a big one for me. Infections, inflammation.
I was joking. It's married to me, no stress. So, what should we talk about there?
Well, I mean, we can talk about all kinds of stuff we can talk about all day, but we don't want to bore them to death on Christmas Eve. But stress, you can manage that.
What was your favorite way to get Gracie to settle down? Count? Breathing?
Breathing and counting. She is just high maintenance, high stress, high drama, just always. No, I'm not dramatic at all. Just say what I think, but I'm not dramatic. But meditation is a big thing. We read a book at night. That's very calming.
What do I do every morning?
I like to walk and exercise, but I can't seem to find the time. But that's a problem that I have because I just want to do for others, and I forget myself. But I like to swim, and I used to like to go to the gym, and then COVID happened, and then I worry about my family more than I worry about me, but then I find that I take my patients home with me and I worry about them as well. So COVID has just been a huge problem for Jessica. And then I have a couple of friends that have gotten COVID and have gotten to some really scary situations. So you can manage stress. That's easy to say and hard to do sometimes. And then, infections and inflammation, but they also drive up your blood sugar, so then you get caught in this vicious circle.
Well, so a quick, easy breathing exercise. If you catch yourself getting excited, one of the quickest, easiest ways to calm down is called 4-7-8 breathing. There's an app on the Apple Store that is called Oak. I love it. And it's very simple. You just count to yourself. So in for 4, hold for 7, out for 8. And repetitions, and then usually about 5 or 6, your body starts to calm down and go into a parasympathetic state. The parasympathetic state is the rest and digest state, and that brings you down. If your kid's around for sound, sit them down, sit the whole family down and do this. I've done this with all of my kids. I've done it golfing with Aiden. I've done it with the girls. I've done it with Gracie. Don't think I've done it with Casey. Casey's pretty chill.
Casey's just awesome. I wish I could figure out how to do life like Casey does.
And
He's just awesome.
A1C, they're starting to kind of go away from A1C they still do the measure medically, but in the functional medicine realm, in the alternative healthcare realm, that's a better indicator of inflammation, not so much with how much your diabetes is off. I mean, it's important, but for diabetes, your insulin number is much more important than your A1C, because if your insulin is down and your insulin is controlled and you have a good insulin response, then your A1C will go down. And as we look at all this, let's talk about what an insulin response is and what a good insulin curve looks like. When you're fasting, optimal is between 75 and 85 milligrams per deciliter. Then when you eat, at 30 minutes, your blood sugar should peak. And you don't want to see your blood sugar go above 140. If your blood sugar goes above 140, you're not necessarily diabetic, but that food that you're eating is bad juju. It's causing you to do bad things in your body. We figured that out on my birthday going to the Oceanair. I was wearing a constant glucose monitor, and they had sourdough bread. Sourdough bread is a fermented bread. It's supposed to be less gliadin, less gluten, and they gave us some sourdough bread, and I was like, hey, I think I'll try this. And so I'm sitting there eating away, and we eat, and then it's what, 10 minutes later or something?
The monitor's going off, alarming.
Yeah, my alarm's going off, and I'm like, what is that? And so I look at it. I did not go high. What happened was I had a reactive hypoglycemic event. Now, it didn't really affect me because my body it runs off of ketones also. So the ketones kicked in. I never felt bad. I never bonked. I never did any of that. But I looked at my stuff and my blood sugar dropped way down, which means that when I ate the sourdough bread, it triggered my body to squeeze out a bunch of insulin. And then because there's really no fiber in this, it all got pushed into the cells and my blood sugar tanked. And so that was, I mean, it wasn't scary, but it was definitely interesting. And you were like, what's going on? And I was like, it says I have low blood sugar. So the Dexcom G6, if you guys are working with a medical doctor, get one. And log what you eat and learn your body. Why would you learn a car and not learn your body? I mean, I love cars, but knowing how to take care of this piece of machinery is more important to me than learning how to take care of something else that if I die, I'm going to play with anyway.
That's true.
So,
but moderation, that's the big thing, because I find that most of our friends and family and patients that we say you just shouldn't have any, they want it more. I don't have a problem with sugar because I don't care to eat it. I'm not a big dessert or sugar person. I don't like candy, and I don't really drink soda, so
soda just, no, there is no moderation
not in
with
soda. I'm just saying, if you have something that you really like, then figure out how to make it differently, or just have a little bit.
Let's talk about packaging. Do we have any food in here at all?
We don't own things with packaging.
Well, I know. Okay, so packaging. We don't have anything.
We don't.
So in packaging and food, they do a nice little trick to mess with us. And that trick is they will fractionate out the sugars. What this means is if you read a package and that package says it has maltodextrin, sucrose, corn syrup solids, whatever the different sugars are, and you see those second, third, and fourth, and fifth, what that's saying to you is actually the most prevalent ingredient in this package is sugar. I don't care what the first ingredient is. By the time you add up whatever percentages the rest of these are, they're the most dominant one. And typically in America, it's sugar. There's a very interesting thing and very scary thing. Packaged foods have what is called a bliss point. You want to read something or see something that's interesting, go Google bliss point.
Yeah, that's just scary.
Watch the YouTube. They design your food that way.
That's why you eat the whole bag of Lay's.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why you can't have just one.
Yeah.
And then I had another thought there for a second with the foods, the fraction. Dr. Robert Lustig does a very good YouTube video, and it's called Sugar, the Taste That Kills. And he goes through high fructose corn syrup and how that, get this, your body cannot tell the difference between fructose that is in alcohol and fructose that is in a Coke or fructose that is in your orange juice. So when that goes through your system, alcohol causes 12 problems. Fructose causes 8 of the 12 problems. It just doesn't affect the brain the same way. And so you check those out. Very, very eye-opening. And if you're like me, it will piss you off.
Calm down, Trevor.
I'm generally pretty calm all the time. But back to the stress, the 478 breathing. Oak also has a metta meditation, which if you have self-talk and you're highly self-critical, then the metta meditation lets you take it easier on yourself. And they also have a mindfulness meditation. Recently I've been doing a Ziva meditation, which kind of combines mantra and mindfulness and manifesting, and it works, and it's pretty awesome actually. Well, I don't know how long we've been going. I can't tell.
No. I don't know.
We don't want to take up your entire day, people. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
24 minutes.
Oh, I've been going 24 minutes.
Yeah.
Well,
But hopefully we'll show up every Thursday, and we'll learn about some fun things and see what you guys want to learn about, and maybe do some cooking and making the things that our patients like and our family likes in a healthier way.
if you would like us to actually take a recipe that you have and show you how to make it healthier, let us know. But on that side note, I am going to put in an email, or actually if you would comment on this video, give us a like or whatnot. I have a free guide for a cupboard clean out. So you can take what's in your pantry, remove it, and once you remove it, then you put the good stuff back in. And that way you know when you go to the pantry, whatever is in your pantry will be healthy. And so we start to layer in healthy habits. You know, if you can go to your refrigerator and you know everything in your refrigerator is healthy, then you can go to that and that's just good for you. And then you start to layer in meditation. and then you start to layer in exercise. You do all of these things, and then all of a sudden you have a bunch of healthy habits.
Yep, and it doesn't just have to be like a gym. You just
got to start moving.
Interested in the kitchen clean out, drop me a note here and I will email it to you. Oh, I'm so afraid to put my email like in the comments, not for patients, but just for those stupid spam bots.
yeah.
Anybody know an easy way to do that?
I don't know.
I'll contact our web people and see about just making a website dedicated to that so they can go to it and just download it.
Ooh, I need more coffee.
Well, with that,
We would like to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. We hope you have a blessed New Year, and hopefully we can show up on Thursdays and have a little fun and get a little healthier together.
have a Merry Christmas. Be safe. Kiss a loved one. Talk to y'all later. Now we gotta get that camera.
Thank you for taking this time to look into the health of you and your loved ones. This broadcast does not constitute a doctor-patient relationship. It is intended for educational and entertainment purposes only and is not a replacement or substitute for care. If you are having issues, please seek a qualified professional trained in functional medicine. We would be happy to be of assistance with both in-person and virtual consultations. Thank you.